We are joined by Bill O'Reilly. Go check out his latest at BillO'Reilly.com. He's an 18-time New York Times best-selling author, and he's got one new book out now. We'll ask him about the one that's coming out later on. Bill, thanks for being here with us. Appreciate it.
Clay and Buck, two legends in the making. How's that?
I like it. We'll take it. So let's get into the Hunter Biden news today. We're talking to Miranda Devine about it before. And look, I had called for many months, Bill, on this show. I said that they're going to make it disappear with the ultimate sweetheart deal, and then they'll just go forward with the Trump prosecution. Clay is kind of just flabbergasted with outrage at the destruction of any sense of the criminal justice system being fair. What do you see happening here, both on the legal side and then also just in the broader political sense with the Hunter stuff?
Well, there's no question that the Justice Department and the federal government in general is corrupt under President Biden. So if Americans don't accept that, you're not living in the real world. We are in a corrupt time as far as the federal government is concerned. So this comes as no surprise. And tonight on my broadcast, the No Spin News, I'm going to run a soundbite that I said on May 4th that predicted exactly that this would happen. But it's not a bad thing. Because number one, it heightens awareness for the 50% of Americans that do not pay attention to the news cycle. Half of the voters are totally clueless on what goes on day to day in this country. This will get through to them, and they won't understand what happened or anything like that, but they will know that there is a crack in the Biden machine. Number two, this does not prevent future charges against Hunter Biden for crimes unrelated to his tax returns or his gun purchase. So, for example, there's an active investigation underway right now that says a foreign company, Burisma, out of Ukraine, opened an account for Hunter Biden in a corrupt bank in the island nation of Malta in the Mediterranean Sea. Now, subsequently, that bank was shut down for corruption charges. So, say Hunter Biden violated some kind of American law in operating with this bank in a fraudulent manner, he could be charged again. And believe me when I tell you, the Republicans heading the oversight and judiciary committees are going full bore to link the Biden family with Joe Biden in the reception of more than $10 million.
Bill, you said you don't think Hunter Biden's going to run. Sorry. I hope
definitely doesn't think Hunter Biden's going to run.
Yeah, well, we agree on that one. You said you don't think Joe Biden's going to run. One of the questions that people are debating and discussing, certainly in the wake of this sweetheart deal for Hunter, is how, if at all, does this impact Joe Biden's political future as it pertains to running again? Do you think these are connected in any way? Do you think this sweetheart deal could be connected to Biden not running? How would you assess, or do you see these as two not related situations?
I don't believe that the Hunter Biden guilty plea on these charges is going to affect President Biden's quest for re-election. I don't believe that, just as I don't believe that the prosecutions against Donald Trump are going to affect his status inside the Republican Party. Both parties are going to stay with their guys. I say that Biden isn't going to run again because I don't think physically and mentally come November of this year that he's going to be capable of that. That he's going downhill so fast. Did you hear him say he's going to build a railroad across the Pacific and into the Indian Ocean? I think you guys mentioned that, right?
Yep.
I mean, if he's saying things like that we're going to have a choo-choo go from San Francisco to the Maldives. I mean, you're sitting there and you're going, this is impossible. Nobody could say anything like that. He doesn't know what he's saying, and that will become more and more apparent, even though obviously the administration is trying to hide him. So it's going to come to a point, and one of the indicators was that Gavin Newsom did an interview with Sean Hannity.
Yep.
You guys saw that, right?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
In a million years, Gavin Newsom would not have done an interview like that unless he believes he's got some kind of shot to step into this presidential race. So these small indicators tell me, and I know this for a fact, that the Democratic Party doesn't want Joe Biden to run again. They can't go to Kamala Harris. She's a disaster. So they're kind of just going day by day. But are committed Democrats and liberals going to not vote for Joe Biden because of Hunter Biden? I don't think so.
Yeah, the machine is very powerful. We're speaking to Bill O'Reilly for joining us in progress here. Killing the Legends, The Lethal Danger of Celebrity, his latest book of 18 bestsellers out there. Bill, did you see, we haven't played it yet for this audience, some of the clips of it, but I just wanted your overall take after the Bret Baier Trump interview that aired last night, where there were some pretty contentious moments. I don't think Bret was being contentious, but just the nature of the questions and response seemed to be a little tense in some points. How did you view it? Just overall takeaway.
Well, I watched the interview, and Donald Trump is an extremely difficult man to chat with. I've done more interviews with Trump than any human being alive. I did the first interview when he announced for president back in 2016, the escalator thing. I did the Super Bowl interview with him. I know him inside and out. My secret was I would tell him before the interview, if my hand goes up, if you see my finger go up, that means I want to jump in. I don't want to interrupt you and be rude, but when you see my finger, wrap it. And he did. Okay, and I said the same thing to President Obama when I interviewed him 3 times, because Obama can do the same thing that Trump could. They can do 5 minutes on your socks, okay? They filibuster. So Baier knows that, and he knew he was up against it. He wasn't disrespectful. I thought the most interesting moment was he took a minute to run down all the people that worked in the Trump administration who have turned on Donald Trump.
Bill, can I put my finger up? Because we actually have. Do you mind if we have that? We'll play that for the audience. Then you keep going. Play that for everybody listening. It is cut number 8.
Your Vice President, Mike Pence, is running against you. Your Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, she's running against you. Your former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, said he's not supporting you. You mentioned National Security Advisor John Bolton. He's not supporting you either. You mentioned Attorney General Bill Barr, says you shouldn't be president again, calls you the consummate narcissist and troubled man. You recently called Barr a gutless pig. Your second Defense Secretary is not supporting you, called you irresponsible. This week, you and your White House called your White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, weak and ineffective and born with a very small brain. You called your acting White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney, a born loser. You called your first Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, dumb as a rock. And your first Defense Secretary, James Mattis, the world's most overrated general. You called your White House Press Secretary, Kayleigh Kennedy, milquetoast. And multiple times you've referred to your Transportation Secretary, Elaine Chao, as Mitch McConnell's China-loving wife. So why did you hire all of them in the first place?
Bill, what do you think?
Well, I thought it was relevant, and Trump did not answer the question. And you can't force people to answer questions. I mean, some of the audience, well, why didn't you force? What am I supposed to do? Or Bret Baier, hit him over the head with a mallet? He's going to answer what he wants. What Trump should have answered and should have said is the truth, that Donald Trump is a guy who takes everything personally. Everything. If you screw up, he takes it personally. And then if you say bad things about him, it escalates. He says bad things about you. It's a merry-go-round of personal invective. That's Trump's style, okay? Everyone who worked for him knows it. Everyone who's considering working for him should know it. He's not an easy guy. It doesn't have any more significance than that. Do MAGA people care that all of these former Trump employees don't like him now? No, they don't, because they believe that Trump did a good job as president. But Baier's job is to try to get information. I thought it was a little windy. I would have cut it down. The thing ran 110. Minute 10, I would have cut it down to about 40 and just taken the highlights. You didn't need Rex Tillerson, the Rex the Wonder Dog. You didn't need all that. But it needed to be asked. But I don't know if Baier expected an answer. I certainly did not.
Bill, what's the impact of all the charges? I know you wrote about it at BillO'Reilly.com. All of these counts, South Florida, we'll talk about the timing. Eileen Cannon, the judge there, has started to set her own calendar for how this is all going to play out. Do you think Trump is ultimately going to be the Republican nominee? You don't think that Biden is going to be there. What does this race ultimately look like when we're talking about June of next year, right? As we've already got the nominee set. Where do you think we're headed?
Okay, it's an excellent question, and I wish I could answer it, but I cannot. I'm basing my Biden analysis on his physical and mental deterioration, which is not going to get any better. Trump is a different cat, as Dennis Miller might say. He can survive all of these things because the core of his support, which is far more than any other Republican running for the presidency right now, the core people believe the fix is in. He's inoculated to this stuff. That being said, he's going to have to sit for these charges, but he doesn't even have a law team in place. This can't possibly start in August. It'll be pushed back. They're going to challenge the Presidential Records Act in court. They're going to challenge the Espionage Act. They're going to do all of this stuff. So this time next year, I don't even think those proceedings are going to be underway.
Yeah,
I don't even think that it will. That's how complicated this thing is. But in the end, I believe he's going to have to do what Hunter Biden did. He's going to have to plea out to a couple of very lesser charges because he did not hand over to the National Archives national security documents that were requested. That is the fact. And it doesn't matter if the other people didn't do it. That doesn't matter. Okay? He didn't hand them over. So a jury is going to say, well, you have to hand them over. That's federal law. So, and I can't imagine him sitting there in a trial in that courtroom in Miami. I just can't picture that. So, if you are a person like me who analyzes from fact-based and what has happened in the past, if it comes to that and he loses all his court challenges, I think he'll plea down.
Killing the Legends, The Lethal Danger of Celebrity. Go check out that book if you haven't already gotten your copy, and look at Bill's analysis and watch his show at BillO'Reilly.com. Bill, always appreciate you stopping by.
Okay, guys, I sent you Killing the Witches, which is my next one coming up September 26th. I hope you got it.
Just in time for Halloween, by the way. Good timing.
Legitimately, I did a whole podcast on the real Dracula, Bill. So your real history of the witches. I'm fascinated by this. I will read this, and we will have you on to talk about it.
We sent it to both of you. Vlad Tepes, the real Dracula.
That's right.
I know Vlad well.
There we go.
Don't read Killing the Witches before you go on the air because you're going to be very frightened.
Well, that's why I have Clay here to make sure I don't get scared, Bill. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks for having me in, guys.